Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we are diving into a real heavyweight matchup in the Canadian rewards card scene. We're talking the Amex Cobalt versus the Scotia Gold. And listen, we're going to completely tear down the marketing hype today and just get right to the math. Actually, I want to throw a somewhat controversial idea at you right out of the gate. There is absolutely no universal best card here. Literally none. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're probably just trying to sell you something. Instead, what this is really about is figuring out which card is the best fit for you. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, we've got the comparison trap. Then, the earning equation. Number 3 is the Amex acceptance factor. Fourth, we'll hit the redemption divide. And finally, number 5, finding your true winner. So let's jump right in.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the comparison trap. Why we need to look way beyond those headline rates.
It is incredibly tempting to just glance at those flashy headline earn rates and make a snap decision. We all do it. It leads right to the ultimate question every single points enthusiast asks when looking at these two heavyweights. Which card is actually better? You can spend hours going down rabbit holes on forums, and you're going to find really fierce advocates on both sides. But honestly, asking which card is better in a total vacuum is just the wrong question entirely.
There's this brilliant piece of insight from our source material that perfectly states this is not a simple points versus cashback matchup. It is a portfolio fit question. I absolutely love that quote because it hits the nail right on the head. The correct answer for you depends way less on flashy bank marketing and entirely on how your money actually flows across different merchants in your day-to-day life. It depends on whether you personally value travel transfers over statement credits and how often you're going to run into those pesky category limits.
So let's establish the core identities of each of these cards. First up, the Amex Cobalt. Think of this as a card custom-built for point maximizers. It has an incredibly high upside, but, and this is a big but, it requires active management. It's almost like a hobby or a side project. Then you have the Scotia Gold. This card is engineered for simpler math and predictability. It's perfect for those who want really strong everyday coverage, but just don't want to deal with an advanced strategy to actually extract their value.
Moving right along to Section 2, the earning equation. Let's talk about multipliers and limits. Looking at how these cards actually generate value, the true raw strength of the Amex Cobalt lies in concentrated power. It is an absolute powerhouse if your monthly spend leans heavily on groceries, dining, food delivery, and streaming. If those categories make up a massive chunk of your monthly budget, the Cobalt can generate exceptional outsized rewards. But notice the keyword I use there, concentrated. If you happen to spend heavily outside of those specific bonus categories, you just aren't going to see that same massive advantage.
Now, contrast that with the Scotia Gold. This card really shines by offering strong returns across a bunch of common categories, but completely without the need for an advanced point strategy. It has immense appeal for households that just want predictable, consistent returns without overthinking it. When your main goal is clear net value rather than hobbyist optimization, that everyday simplicity of the Scotia Gold becomes a massive advantage.
But wait, here is the catch. We have to talk about the category cap effect. A card can look absolutely superior on paper, right? But it can still totally underperform in your actual wallet. Why is that? Well, because if you have a really high spend, you might just blast right through those monthly or annual category caps. And once you hit that ceiling, any spillover spend drastically drops your average earn rate. The entire superiority of a card changes the very second those limits are hit. Suddenly, a card that looked dominant becomes, merely good.
Okay, that brings us to Section 3, the Amex acceptance factor, the network reality.
This is arguably the absolute biggest blind spot in the entire Cobalt versus Scotia Gold debate. 2, that is the number of cards you actually need to have in your wallet. Why 2? Because both of these heavyweight cards run on the American Express network. And look, while Amex acceptance in Canada is way better today than a lot of people assume, it's still uneven. You are going to feel this friction mostly at restaurants, small local merchants, and certain grocery chains, which is super ironic because those are exactly the places these cards are supposed to perform the best. If your highest spend merchants don't actually take Amex, your perfectly optimized return just collapses. A non-Amex backup card isn't just a nice to have, it is practically mandatory. So the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is your real earn rate. This is the actual tangible return you generate, calculated as your multipliers minus acceptance friction and category caps. For some users, earning slightly less on paper with a card that flawlessly fits their local grocery store's merchant code can actually produce much better real-world results. Friction eats your returns. Ease of use preserves them.
All right, on to Section 4, the redemption divide, upside versus simplicity.
Because, let's be honest, Earning points is only half the battle, right? How you redeem them is the ultimate tiebreaker here. On one side, we have the transfer optionality of Amex membership rewards. This is all about flexible, high-upside travel transferring. On the flip side, we have the stable, cash-like utility of Scotia's Scene Plus points. Scene Plus points are generally so much easier for everyday users to value. It essentially boils down to a choice between the high ceiling of complex travel transfers and the predictable, much cleaner math of fixed value points.
Let's look at the micro-story of the ideal Cobalt spender. Think of a points-forward traveler. They are completely comfortable learning the ins and outs of transfer partners, like different airlines and hotels. They actively manage their points, holding them, transferring them strategically, timing their bookings perfectly to get these massive, outsized returns. For this type of spender, the Cobalt's flexibility is a total goldmine, because they're fully willing to put in the active work to squeeze out every drop of value.
Contrast that person with a Scotia Gold spender. This person values ease and straightforward redemptions above pretty much anything else. They prefer simply applying their rewards directly to travel purchases cleanly, without having to navigate some crazy complex transfer game. They choose the absolute certainty of use over a theoretical maximum return. And for a lot of busy households, taking that slightly lower ceiling in exchange for a high certainty of use is frankly the smarter and much less stressful choice.
Which leads us nicely to Section 5, Finding Your True Winner, the smarter calculation.
Those generic top 10 card rankings completely fail because they rely on this mythical average user that doesn't actually exist in the real world. Instead, our source provides this really incredible, simple diagnostic tool to figure it out for yourself. It's a quick 3-step checklist. Step 1. Calculate your annual spend by category. Actually look at your own past statements. Step 2. Determine your expected redemption value. Are you transferring to airlines for business class, or are you just offsetting travel statement credits? Step 3. Assess your backup card coverage for those inevitable Amex blind spots. Once you map these 3 steps to your personal transaction mix, the right answer becomes entirely mathematical and way less subjective.
Because at the end of the day, serious card users don't just look at gross rewards, they focus relentlessly on net return. This means taking your annual rewards earned and subtracting the annual fee, which is a really crucial reality check, by the way, and then adjusting that for a realistic redemption value based on how you actually travel. If a card has amazing multipliers but a high fee and you don't use the transfer partners to their full extent, you might literally be leaving meaningful value on the table while paying more for the privilege.
I really love how our source wisely points out the best card is the one that wins against your own transaction mix, not an average user profile. An allocation mindset completely beats a ranking mindset every single time. Your best setup might not even be choosing one card over the other. It might just be assigning each card you own to the specific spending categories where it actually leads.
So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. Which card actually earns you more? After the acceptance friction, after the spending caps, and most importantly, after factoring in your actual, real-world habits. Don't ask what is best on paper. Ask what is best in your wallet. Do an audit of your spending, run that 3-step calculation, and confidently take control of your credit card strategy. Thanks so much for learning with me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.